Welcome to the Garage Grit Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Herlock of AA Shop Marketing. Our hope is to unite shop owners to tackle common stress points and challenges that they're experiencing within the auto repair shop space. Our mission is to guide you towards the best solutions for your shop. So tune in, join the conversation, and let's move your business forward. Welcome, I'm Brad Herlock of AA Shop Marketing. This is the Garage Grit Podcast. It's a panel discussion of shop owners for shop owners, and we're always going to be diving into a particular topic. And then it's not that we're topic experts. It's not that we're here to give you a long list of how to approach this. It's a discussion of our experiences with this particular topic. And my hope for my guests, as well as those watching, is that you'll hear something that might prove valuable that you could apply or think about as a result in your own shop and go from there. Without another moment to waste, let me introduce to you our panel of guests. And actually, I'm going to let them introduce themselves a little bit. And why don't we start with Garrett today? Garrett, why don't you name your shop? You give your name, the name of the shop, your facility size, how many years you've been in business. And here's one that I didn't prep you on. Your most recent hire, the job position that was filled, with mechanic or service advisor. And so, Garrett, why don't you start, and then we'll go to Jim. Go ahead, Garrett.
Oh, good morning, Brad. Thanks for having me here. And of course, I guess I get to go first. I'll be the joke. Anyways, I'm Garrett Coulter. I'm with Auto Fitness in Gainesville, Georgia. The shop has been open since 2014. And then I came here during COVID, right at 2020. So my work experience is I was in the military, active duty for 13 years, got out, joined Bridgestone Retail Operations, did that for about 8 years, and then went to work for a Genuine Parts Company as a wholesale manager for a distribution center. And then later having this opportunity to come and run this shop. So it's been a great experience. We are 17 bays. We pretty much do everything, including some collision. My latest hire actually was today, believe it or not. So we just hired another ASE master technician that starts on Monday. So excited about that. Looking forward to it. I'm excited about being here and having an open discussion with you guys, because I know personally I struggle with time management. So looking to take anything I can get from anybody else and hopefully apply that to be more productive.
Thank you. Jim, why don't you go next?
I'm Jim Schorie. I own Schorie Auto Repair in Mesa, Arizona, suburb of Phoenix. My background graduated from Baylor University with a triple in economics, finance, and international business. I'm also 3 hours short of a minor in math and accounting. I was commissioned in the United States Air Force as an officer. I was in the space program for 4 years. Wow. 3 years I was working on Titan 4, Titan 2, predominantly launching, Garrett, get this euphemism, national security assets. And then I spent my last year on active duty. I was only on 4 years because the Air Force and I disagreed on my career future. I was on advanced projects, weapons from space and weapons through space. Separated from the Air Force, went to work for a small software company briefly, and then ended up at Motorola working on their commercial space program, Iridium Next Generation Teledesic, before all that went bust. And then I ended up on cellular infrastructure. Kind of got laid off on that. And I had a couple friends who were in the automotive industry, and I thought, gee, what's a great way to lose a bunch of money and be a business owner and give up my life for 50, 60 hours a week and don't know my kids anymore. And so my wife and I literally opened a shop completely 100% greenfield. We've got, I think, 6 or 7 less on alignment rack. We've been open about 17 years now, same location. I'm actually hiring a service advisor today. And the unique thing about this is we started going after people out of the restaurant industry for service advisors. And I've actually hired a woman back in December, and she's just absolutely killing it. Phenomenal customer service skills. Customers are really relating to her. Both the women absolutely love her, and half the men come in there like, I swear their tongues are hanging out, especially the 50-year-old dudes.
I've always heard that. Sorry to butt in, but like some of the coaching places I've been through and all that, in the restaurant industry, whether you're a server, bartender, or whatever, your pay is directly proportional to the level of your service because you live on tips. So those people know how to read people. They know how to keep people happy and actually come in knowing that the hardest part is hard to train that, right?
Correct.
So if
Correct.
you get someone from that industry, they're naturals because they have been successful there. So
Correct. And they're people persons. And then the hire we just made a hire about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And this one, I don't know, we've reached a point where I can afford the staff position. Initially, I thought it was going to be expense. So another gal coming, she's a server. Jessica, who's on my front counter right now, who probably ended up being an assistant manager, was a bartender. And this particular lady she has 2 kids that are in one of our primary schools that we pull from that are kindergarten and first grade. And I don't think she'll ever be a service advisor, doesn't have the right personality. So we're using her to do all of our callbacks. And we were able to give her a job that matched her kids' school schedule. And we were actually paying her a little bit more than what she was hoping to get. And she literally almost broke down. She actually cried a little bit. She said, wait a minute, you're going to give me a job that allows me to be a mom who is going to allow me to drop my kids off at school, and then I can come to work and I can leave work and go pick up my kids at school and be a mom for the rest of the day. And you're going to pay me more than what I want. I'm like, yeah. And she was just ecstatic. And like I said, initially thought it was going to be a cost position, but she relates so well to people. She calls up and says, hey, this is Kat from Schorie Auto Repair. I saw you haven't been in about 4 or 5 months. So we got a $39.97 full synthetic oil change special. Can I get you to schedule an appointment? Guys, she's booking 2 to 5 appointments a day doing callbacks. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, holy crap.
Nice.
So she's into that price. I'm bringing my own. You can do my full and do some money.
So paying for herself. And then today I'm going to be making an offer to another server, single mom, 2-year-old, is really looking to make a generational shift in her fortune. She comes from not a very financially strong background, aka her family's poor, and she's wanting to really step up her game and step up create a better life for her son. And so we're going to hire her today, and she'll probably start on Monday.
Nice.
So,
awesome.
Nice. We occasionally hear news stories with a political slant sometimes about how business is this or that. And those people who are writing those types of pieces don't understand the small business owner. They really don't. I've been around small businesses. Actually, both of my parents were entrepreneurs. They were actually just trying to run their small businesses so that they could put bread on the table, so to speak. And they weren't trying to be masters of industry, but they were trying to help their families and their communities and those around them. I've known nothing other than small business. And I've actually been working with small businesses for 25, 30 years. So I really do understand. I really do appreciate the story about the callback hire, because we get to do that sometimes, and that's nice. That's not really the topic of today. And actually I need to move on to Ted. I want to hear a little bit about your shop and story and share that with everyone else, please.
Okay. There's a little bit to it. So in the essence of time management, I'll speak quickly if I can. A little different. I've always been a car guy, grew up in it. So Dad was a lifelong Cummins diesel technician, worked for Cummins, but he also ran a shop out of our house. So ever since I was little, nights and weekends, there's customer cars there working at it in our garage. So as a teenager, I started doing some of the work, simple things, brake jobs, stuff like that. He'd let me have that and let me earn that money. I ended up going to trade school after high school because college was not for me. Ended up working in Ford dealerships. It was a Ford Master Tech in the 90s, ASE Master Tech, all that stuff. I was a good technician, above average, I would say. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I can do this. But late 97, I had so much side work out of my own house, I quit my job. And I was knocking down good money at a Ford dealer. In the late 90s, I was bringing home about $80K a year, which was a lot of money back then. A lot. It was flat rate time, and you get efficient, you're doing it. But I hated it. I didn't like working for the managers. So that's another story. If you want to keep your employees happy, be a good manager. However, so I worked out of my home for a couple of years, always busy, upper middle class neighborhood. I had 6, 7 cars outside of my house all the time. Didn't really get in too much trouble because I worked on all my neighbors' cars, calling the police. And they started showing up and they said, listen, It's actually illegal for you to even do this in your driveway, blah, blah, blah. I knew who it was. You can't do anything about it. So I had to make a decision. I know it was a turning point. So I either had to commit and say, I need to rent a place and take this on a bigger scale and go do that, or I need to knock it off and go get a job. And I could go get a job right back to the place. So I rented a corner of a warehouse because it was cheap and I didn't have much money back then to invest. I was like 27. And so that was June of 2020. So I rented this 5,600 square foot piece of a warehouse, there was another tenant in the rest of the building. So I've been here ever since. That was just a few months before COVID, or not COVID, 11. So that was a crazy time to start a business because everything changed really quick, at least for those few months afterward. It was scary. You just power through it. Within 3 months, my plan was I was going to get my own place and do it and be left alone. Within 3 months, my plan had changed. I need employees. I need help. I need a writer and all that stuff. So we went from 1 to 3 people in 3 months just out of necessity. And so we're here 23 years later, same building. We ended up buying it, occupy the whole rest of it. Yeah. So that's pretty much how I accidented my way into this.
And
it wasn't planned.
The government push for or the response as far as it's illegal to do this in the neighborhood. That wasn't your only government push to the next phase, because you were also selling cars from your repair shop for a little bit, right? Dude.
Oh yeah. So in 2014, and I think a lot of shop people end up buying a car here or there that someone doesn't want to fix. And if you get slow, you fix it, you sell it. So I ended up doing quite a bit of that. And I was visited by a plainclothes gentleman with a gun in a holster and a badge. And he explained to me that he was from the DMV dealers enforcement thing. And I had no clue whatsoever. And he come in with this stack of papers about thick. They literally had pictures of my house, cars in my own driveway. And I live on an acreage with
Thanks, Jim, for the satellite.
It was like this, an FBI on me. And what you're doing is illegal. Number one, you can't reassign a title. You got to pay sales tax. If you sell more than this, there's all these things I could write you up on. And he was actually pretty cool because I'm completely honest with him. I said, this is what I do and this and that. And I'm just trying to make a living and help people get a decent car. And he says, I'm going to write you up for 9 charges of failure to pay sales tax. He goes, I could write you up on so much more. And he actually helped me. He says, call this person down to the DMV. These are the steps you need to take. If you get your dealer license, you can do this. He goes, my job is to keep people doing things legally. So I'm going to help you do that. But he warned me. He said, if I have to come back, I'm going to do everything I can and you won't be happy.
Interesting.
So I took his advice. I called his friend. Literally, they helped me. I got my dealer's license. So my goal was to just be able to keep doing what I was doing without worrying about getting in trouble. Created a lot more access for me. Got into dealer only option, got a floor plan, all these things, banks to finance with, things that I didn't know that I would even be able to get a hold of. And I ended up selling 100 cars that first year.
Nice.
It changed my life. It changed my business.
But it also created some new time struggles, and we're going to get to that. But who was your most recent job hire? What was the position?
My most recent job hire is hopefully later today.
Again, we're 3 for 3 for today. Okay.
I lost a technician yesterday due to like his personal life problems, blah, blah, blah. Has to move to his old town. But we have already had 2 people on deck that want a job as soon as there was an opening.
Okay.
We called them and they're coming in later today. Like that's a problem I have not always had, but sometimes that's recruiting and being a place that people want to work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's no doubt. All right. So let's jump into the actual topic of time management and the issues. But let's actually let's make a list of some of the possible black holes that kind of, actually, no, before we make that list, I want to go around robin again. And Gary, you haven't had a chance to speak in a while, so we're going to go back to you. I want to hear real quick about how you start your day, your morning routine. And I'm not talking about you wake up, take a shower. I'm talking about your work routine, right? Let's start with you. do you do any work before you walk in? And if so, what is that? But when you walk in, what is that first thing? When you're actually doing on the job, so to speak, what's your routine? Give me 2 or 3.
So I get to the shop about 30 minutes before we open. And of course, I try to have everything set up and ready to go for all the guys. Lights on, compressors on, heaters if needed.
Okay.
I leave at a time, typically 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon to get home for a younger child. So there's about an hour and a half where I missed what's transposed or what left, what came in. So I just walk the shop, see what's new. I always go through my whip screen. I'll review all the invoices that were tendered that day. And then just try to get myself on a good footing to start the day. Just trying to do whatever I can do for the guys just to get them started to try to be as productive as we possibly can. That was the start of my day.
Are you walking around with a clipboard and you're making a list, or is it all mental?
It's pretty much mental.
Okay.
I have
caffeine do you start with to make sure that your brain's firing off?
Yeah, a couple monsters for sure. Maybe
Okay.
a Starbucks here and there.
Okay.
As we discussed before the call, Brad, I don't have any issues with just being full transparency, saying that I'm probably a little bit too much of a micromanager.
Mm.
I probably spend entirely too much of my time trying to be so hands-on that I probably put fear in some of my employees to be able to make decisions for themselves or to do something that's the right thing to do just because, I don't know, they all say that you never know what version of Garrett you're going to get, or if we did this, then Garrett would do the opposite or vice versa. Maybe I'm tough to read. I don't know. That's just one of my struggles, but I identify it. It's just, now how do I do something to change it?
Yeah.
In terms that makes things easier for me.
Okay. No, that's interesting. And when my son was a toddler, I was consuming around the equivalent of around 16 coffees per day. Jim, how about you? What's your routine for your day when you start in?
So I go to the gym every morning at 7 a.m. Then I normally get into the shop between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. So diving into the whole time management thing. And we've now built a culture in the business that everybody knows what the expectations are. Everybody understands what their role is. Like the person who we're hiring today, I've talked to her on the phone once. I was not even in the shop when the team did the in-person interview. And I'm going to extend a job offer to her. So that kind of gets into your whole time management stuff. I've been able to focus more and more. We're growing quite rapidly. And I found I have to focus more and more on the business rather than in the business. That's demanding a lot of my time. So I have to really lean into my team members, and that's what they are. And I have a young GS who's 21 who literally said, we were having a team meeting. He said, dude, we're family, and family covers your family.
Nice.
And so given that I have the freedom of time, I'm normally there until I get around 10. I'm normally there until 5 or 6. First stop is my store manager. What's going on for the day? What's happened today? What do we expect to get accomplished today? Et cetera, et cetera. And then we quickly do an end of day review. What did happen? What didn't happen? Why it didn't happen. And then we do a once a week review, usually on Monday nights, of the prior week to understand. There's a couple KPIs that I go over with them. Very heavily focused on gross profit dollars. I don't give a flip about gross sales. I think gross sales in our industry, when people talk about gross sales, you're feeding the ego. It's the ego of other shop owners. And we're comparing, I get that, certain sizes of certain body parts.
Right.
They're trying to. And
right. I pay
at the
more
end
for
of the day,
breaks, and therefore my gross sales is higher.
Exactly. So we're 100%
Great
focused
idea, Jim. Yeah.
we're 100% focused on gross profit dollars. That's all we're focused in on.
But I want to ask you a question. You said your team interviewed the new hire.
Correct.
If it's a mechanic that you're hiring, do the mechanics interview? If
Yes,
it's an
they do.
advisor? I'm sorry, how do you approach that? Go ahead.
So they'll start off, I'll back up a little bit, and Garrett will get a kick out of this. So my ROTC, I went through ROTC, which granted Garrett will say I was in the chair force. And actually, Garrett, it even gets worse, because I think this is freaking worse. I'd be in Space Force today, and they're the freaking Guardians. What in the hell is up with that name? I'm expecting Chris Pratt or come busting through with Groot and all that crap, and our theme song is going to come on every Guardian comes equipped. with a cassette tape put on their belt.
It'll have that Marvel introduction music.
Exactly.
Right.
I think it's totally. I think it's totally embarrassing. Yeah, I was thinking my hand of enemy. Yeah, I'd be in the Space Force today. Yeah, don't shame me too much. I'd be a fucking guardian. Sorry, I just cussed. Yeah, but going back to what I was really talking about, and this is impacted my management style, impacted the culture that we developed. When I went through boot camp, the camp commander was in the first graduating class of the United States Air Force Academy. Our regional commander had spent over 7 years in the Hanoi Hilton. Those of you who aren't military, the Hanoi Hilton was a POW with Senator John McCain. It was actually next door to Senator John McCain for 7 years in downtown Hanoi. And we actually had just like SEAL training and Air Force officer ROTC, you tap out. You don't get, they do cut you at the end, but they don't do cuts till the end. Our SIE rate was, I believe, 28%, and the normal attrition rate for Air Force ROTC is like 6%. So needless to say, we had a very intense training. And the guys know, hopefully God won't strike me dead. I tell all my guys this, say, listen, this is my place. And inside these four walls, I am God. God wears a size 15. And when God says this, you do it. Otherwise, a size 15 is going to go up a very small hole that you're going to find very uncomfortable. And they understand, they get it. Expectations are set. Everybody knows what's expected of them. I just had a team member come up to me yesterday and just say, hey, there's a gentleman on our staff, technician we need to get rid of. He's not performing to your expectations. So that is freaking huge from a culture perspective. We have teammates wanting other teammates off the team because they're not performing to our family standards.
I've had the same thing. It was actually a breath of fresh air when it started.
You bet.
It was a culture shift.
Totally. So I just spun Brad off into.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about it because that first time it happens, that person, I wonder if they feel like, cause from childhood, you're taught not to tell on your friends. It's a us versus them type attitude.
And culture in a shop. And I lived with it for many years, on and off.
Right.
And when it started changing, I had a new hire come in, really great guy, master tech. And within a month or two, he had everybody else, they were friends and they were doing the right thing. They're saying, this guy that's worked here for 5 years he says, it was just amongst technicians, right? I saw him do this, not doing cutting corners and stuff like that. And you know what? It's nothing that I saw. Being at the top, you don't always see that stuff.
You do not.
Right? People take measures to keep you from seeing it. And when that came to light, he was talking to my manager. I have a manager that manages the shop. And she's tough. She's a sweetheart, but she's tougher than any guy, right? And she just started calling guy out. So his rope got really short in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, he was
interesting. But
5 years, he's there. A new guy comes in 2 months later. The new guy got him fired, but it was the right thing. And the day that guy left, and you get so used to it, and he's a great guy, fun to be around, be a jokey guy. The day that he left, my culture, attitude,
shifted,
atmosphere, everything in that shop went up about 10 notches.
And I imagine
we thought we had a family atmosphere,
and then he got that much more family.
To the point it changed dramatically. It became like blood family, and
totally.
And it was.
And I'm still thinking about this idea of having your employees do the interview, and I'm not talking about an HR person, right? We're talking about just future teammates, and if they are part of, I like this person or I like that person, then they are going to be more apt to potentially coach or work alongside or encourage or also call them out. I don't know. But I'm so curious. If you're hiring a mechanic, are you having other mechanics at your shop interview? And that's one of the things that you're doing to delegate and save your time. Is that what you're doing, Jim?
Yes, it is. And the reason why is they're going to have to work with that individual for 50 plus hours a week. Okay. I'm not. Okay. They're going to be standing next side to that individual for 50 plus hours a week. They're going to have to get along with that person.
Yeah.
We just interviewed a senior technician yesterday, and both techs said no. And he's not the right culture fit. And so our team has evolved, like Ted's talking about, where I can go out and I can trust my guys because they know what we're looking for and they understand what we're trying to do and accomplish.
Garrett, have you explored trying to use your teammates or your employees to also be part of the interview process?
I actually haven't done that, no.
How much
I
time?
don't have a good answer, but I mean, it's a good idea.
So, Brad, let me back you up. You used the wrong word there, by the way.
Okay.
You said employee.
Teammate? You want me to use teammate instead?
Yeah, because there's a culturally 180-degree difference between employer-employee relationship versus teammate.
Okay.
And so I don't know if you understand the difference. I know Ted's getting what I'm talking about here.
100%.
The team and the family is going to look out for the team and the family. Okay. 110%. And so once you have that culture, as the owner, I can sit here and delegate a lot of stuff. And they want to be involved. And to the guys who are doing the interviewing, you're showing them that you value them as a person. You're showing them you value them as a teammate. You're showing them you value their opinion. And you're providing a lot of self-worth, self-identification. They feel like they're contributing exponentially to the business, that they have a major say in the direction of the business and how the business is being developed. And they do. And I've empowered that in them. So when you don't have that in an employee-employer relationship.
I totally get that. And so we don't call it, sometimes we loosely refer to it as the team, but majority of it's our work family. I'm here 9-10 hours a day. I coach youth sports. I got kiddos, all that stuff. My time at home awake, literally my time at home awake is probably less than 3 hours a day. I spend more of my life with the people here than I do the people of my own immediate family. That's a consistent thing. I coach football, so we have our football family, and we talk about it ad nauseum, everything. And these kids buy in. They're part of a team, right? We got to work together. Same thing here. And that helps to create culture. And their view of what what they belong to is completely different. And what Jim said, how they treat everything is different. They treat it like it's their own instead of this is just the place I get in at and clock in at. The toolbox has wheels. I can go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. I was at a seminar 2 years ago, and it really changed the way I thought about this. It was a PPG guy store, but they do like a management styler in their body shop. But he told a story about a Ford dealer. And this guy was like a triple platinum winner. They won the award every year for so long. And the owner came out to 130 employees and said, if you like your job and you like the money you make, he says, studies show I have a 50% chance of keeping you past this year as an employee. He said, but if you know that your input matters to the business and the ideas you share and the things you care about impact how we do things here as a family, it goes to a 90% chance of me retaining you as an employee. And everybody knows right now, like the hardest thing to do is to staff technicians, right? It hasn't been for me, which blows my mind because just doing the things that enforce that has really changed. It's changed my world.
One possible solution to the time vortex probably appropriate, this time suck area of managing employees or bringing on new technicians is about creating that family experience so that you can leverage some of your employees' time to do the initial interviews at least, right? If not all of them. Garrett, are your mind blown? What do you think your hard challenges are going to be? What do you think your next challenge is going to be to try to implement something like that?
I don't know. I guess time will. I've already hired this guy now. I mean, I think a little bit differently than Jim and Ted in some regard. And maybe it's just because the situation in this shop is slightly different because the size that we are and based on the volume that we do, I have had 3 full technicians and then 1 general service lube tech, maybe a C tech, basically for the last 4 years. And then I lost my lead technician, wanted to go and start his own business about a year ago. And I'm not going to fault the guy for trying to go and do his own thing. We don't have a ton of employee turnover anyways. I've had a few folks that have come in, they weed themselves out. Either they've done it to themselves or my team here weeds them out. I refer to them like as struts or shocks, right? You can clean a used and an old one up and they'll look exactly the same. Even employees or teammates, there's a transitional or a gradual degradation of their habits, good or bad, that always tend to surface. I don't think that you're going to pick up on that, whether it's you interviewing them or if it's another teammate. So you still don't really know what you're going to get. But anyways, it gets back to my point is I don't have, there's not a store manager here. I don't have a service advisor here. It is me. I have 2 other females that work with me. I have a lady that works that does all the QuickBooks and receives the parts, and a young lady up front basically helps me with the intake process, gathering the information to start the ticket, asking all the right questions, cashing customers out. But when it comes down to actual interaction with the customer from that initial intake, everything at that point begins and ends with me. Yes, again, to my own fault. That's probably just because I'm so hands-on, but that's just how we do it here. So
Hey, Garrett,
How many techs do you currently have?
So you're like the service advisor, and you
Correct.
hired yourself a service advisor assistant, right?
Yeah, I would actually call it more counter sales. Anything else? Her.
Okay.
Yeah. And to go back to to both of your points, Jim and Ted, with regards to hiring from outside of the industry, I'm gonna be honest with you, I do believe that is the way that it's going. And that hotel restaurant industry trend, that's been an ongoing thing now for national accounts like the Firestones, Tires Pluses, NTBs, Mavises. They've been doing that for years. And I watched it when it was happening. And I thought that they were crazy. Like, how are you going to bring somebody in with no experience, no knowledge, no nothing? But actually, then having gone through that myself, it's the smart thing to do, because then you're at least, you're teaching these people exactly how you want things done. And you don't have to worry about all the bad behaviors and you know, the things that unfortunately this industry is known for. And in a lot of cases, it's not honor, it's not integrity. And so, you just can't teach that being honest and having good customer service with communication and follow through. Hats off to you guys for doing that, because I think it's a good point to start. But
Hey,
How many
Garrett,
technicians do you have?
couple questions.
I have,
By the way,
hold on one second, Jim, I have 3 technicians currently.
Dude, you can make this happen now. I've got 6.
And then the new one would be, the new one that's starting Monday would be the 4th.
So, yeah, we're looking to go. So last year we did one. We're going to talk about gross sales.
and Garrett has 17 bays, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
You're looking at just like I'm looking at it. I'd be licking my chops right now,
Oh.
man. I had a person at, and I told my
I hate talking about gross sales, but I think that's really the only number that you can, we have never met each other or physically seen each other's shops. That's the number that you have to go off to see, okay, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, so we did 1.8 last year. We're tracking 2.5. Our goal is 3.6.
Okay.
So I'm actually in the process of trying to recruit 2 additional technicians and at least 1 service advisor. And we've been using the family thing for the whole family interview thing now for probably 3 or 4 years now. And our success rate is freaking high. Because when you get, you know this, you get, Ted, especially when you were initially wrenching back in the Ford dealership, you get 2 technicians together next to their toolbox as just the 2 of them. Holy crap, the stuff that gets revealed. Because they're just 2 good old boys just sitting there having a good old time. And they go, hey, Jim, guess what?
Yeah.
So
It's like an adult, I've referred to this as an adult daycare on several occasions.
yeah,
And literally, I know from experience, because I used to always get moved from the back to the front of the class. And I literally have had to do that with certain technicians. I literally will split them up To give you a visual, our showroom sales area is in the middle of the shop. And then one half of it, they're all drive-through. So I've got doors equally on the front as I do the back. And then on the other side, I've got doors coming through the front and then the back. Three of the bays that we have really don't get used a ton currently because I converted what was a body shop. I took a paint booth out, added 2 garage doors, but I just put the new ADAS, the Autel ADAS system in. Okay,
Nice.
so we're trying to, to branch off and get at the forefront. I know the technology's here, been here, but in the U.S. market, I mean, if you don't learn it now, you're going to be way behind the power curve. 14 bays, probably realistically, and with the 3 technicians, last year we did 1.8. It's a lot
3 guys, yeah.
for me when I'm writing all the service, but it works. I'm comfortable with that level. Things are going to change. Business has been so inconsistent over the last year. But I do see that something's going to change. So I want to go ahead and that's what we just put the ad on Indeed. I've pretty much had an interview every single day, but the talent pool it's tough, especially if you're looking for a master tech. And the fact that we're a AAA and we're a Napa Auto Care Gold certified facility. So that ASE master tech certification it's a requirement. So I'm very specific in what I'm looking for.
The challenge with
can
Indeed,
see you're working your butt
it's
off,
a little
man.
off topic, but
Yeah.
What's that?
1.8 all flowing through your desk as you're the only writer.
That's a lot of work.
My hat's off. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But you're probably at the bottleneck where there's only so much can go through your desk. There's got to be.
Correct. And that's why I made the decision to then hire the other individual that's up front with me. She came from the parts world, selling parts, but has really good customer service. But I explained to even her, having come from the parts side, just because you think parts, nothing about the repair side, and or vice versa, because I came from the repair side after getting out of the military, working for BSRO, and then went on to the parts side with Genuine Parts Company, which is Napa. And I was blown away. I felt like a total idiot because I was used to doing one thing for so long, and it's easy to call somebody up and fumble your way through what you're trying to explain to them. But it's another thing to hear somebody try to explain it to you on a phone. And you're like, what in the world is this dude asking me for? But so it's presented its challenges, but again, it just takes time. Just takes the time. So,
Hey, how much time do we have left, Brad?
I'm not on a clock. It's a matter of the natural point of the conversation. We've actually only talked about the employee side, the hiring side of the possible time loss areas. Maybe we should move on to another area.
Well, I got all the time in the world, but man, Garrett, I'm impressed. You're doing all that. How long has your assistant been with you up front?
since August of last year.
Okay, so are you
relatively
to do
new,
more and more and be able to take some things off your plate?
For any parts, I order every single part. We're very specific. I don't know.
From the parts background, she couldn't order parts for you?
She can, and she does. I mean, where I'm going with this is eventually I'd like to be able to get it to the point where, like we're just each our own advisor. Okay. And so she's handling the workload of the customer that she did the intake on and then followed.
Okay.
And then vice versa with me.
Okay.
Because we're still learning. I guess back up and say this. Okay. So I am very much focused on reviews. And I'm trying to get off topic, but I have an addiction to Google reviews. I look at my business reviews. If I told you it wasn't 10 times a day, I'd be lying to you. And we have 1,000, right now we have 1,003. We have 5-star Google review. We're the only 5-star Google review business in this entire county. And that is like a person, I own it personally. And that is my focus,
man.
Because everybody that comes through these front doors says, I found you online because of your reviews. Like, how did you do that? And I know that equals traffic coming in and out of here and word of mouth. It just lessens the pain points going forward, because especially if somebody's been referred to you, there's just a less likely to be apprehensive about the experience or what you're telling them that they need. And here it's not even, I don't have to sell anything to anybody. Like, they come in and they just trust the fact that what we're doing and the quality of the service that we provide. And if we say that they need it,
Then they need it.
it's really weird. It's a very unique situation, because I've been on the other side of it where you fought for every single dime you could get. But now I'm doing other things because I've realized that the timepiece is so important. So now I've got the phones. Like, I don't pick up the phones to call parts vendors unless it's the dealer. I do align myself. When I say that I'm 95% every part I buy comes from Napa, it comes from Napa unless it's not the dealer. I don't waste my time calling around to get 3 different prices to buy the cheapest part and then sell it for the most amount of money. I pass that price on, and I'm not concerned with that. To me, charge me more money if you want, because I'm just passing it. I make the same gross profit no matter what. So that's my mentality and how I approach the parts piece of it. I just started doing the texting feature. When I intake a customer, they get a text message with a very brief introduction from me, and then I can follow that up with any notes or a work order estimate for approval, completed, text to pay. That has been a huge time saver, because I never really realized how receptive customers would be to just being able to text them an invoice.
Hey, Garrett, sorry to butt in. I'm just out of my own personal curiosity. What shop management program are you using?
We use Trax.
Okay, the Napa one. Yeah.
The Napa one, right?
Got it.
Yep.
Just curious.
So the only thing that we haven't done, so the whole texting thing has been amazing. Obviously, e-ordering through your supplier. The only thing that I haven't done that is sitting here is DVI. And the only reason that I haven't done it is because for our volume, I do have a very light crew. And it is going to slow me down before it speeds me up. I know this. And there just hasn't been a good time yet for me to take that step back. Every time I want to do it, the front doors come off the hinges and it's wide open. And then we'll hit a lull. And just when I start thinking about, we need to do that DVI again, I don't know why, Murphy's Law, but that's really the only thing that I haven't done yet that I know would speed the process up in the shop.
I've heard so many shop owners talk about how, I've heard so many shop owners talk about how DVIs actually increase their sales, and they also help them take care of their customer a little bit better because they're showing them pictures. Have you found, Jim, you haven't talked in a little bit, have you found DVIs to be slowing your team down at all from a time standpoint?
No, because we have a discovery team process that we use. And so we get a car inspected in under 15 minutes with pictures and videos. Every single car goes to what we call a rack attack, and we get done.
I like that. I'm taking notes, guys.
It's not my creation. It's Todd Hayes. If you've heard of Todd Hayes. We get the advisor then walks out when the rack attack is done, flips on his phone, records video and says, "Hey, Brad, this is Rick from Schorie Auto Repair. I got your car up here on the lift," flips it around, shows you your own car, and does a quick video walkthrough of your car and says, "Hey, that one thing you talked about, you brought in any initial concern. Here's what it is. This is what it's going to, here it is. Here's the video of it. You're seeing it yourself." And puts that on the DVI. We text it to the customer and try to get it to the customer in under, from the time he drops off to the time he receives that video, trying to get it to him in under 30 minutes. And yeah,
it's impressive. We don't do it that quick.
And that's 15-minute rule. I think there's some statistical figures on the likelihood that you're going to sell anything else if you fall outside of that first 15 minutes as well.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with an oil change. Somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I got a coolant leak." First thing we're doing is we're doing a complete thing, but initially all we're calling them back on is, "Hey, here's the coolant leak." Even though the whole DVI is done, the service advisor says we try to get them the initial estimate in under 30 minutes. The phone call is, "Hey, Mr. Customer, hey, Brad, we got that coolant leak. We got a radiator hose leaking. I want to get your radiator hose, radiator cap, coolant flush, blah, 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 blah." You say, "Okay, great. Hey, Brad, while I still have your car here, it's okay with you, I'd like to go ahead and finish a preventative maintenance inspection to see if there's any other issues that'll be along with your car. Would it be okay if I do that?" You say yes. And then I say, "I'm going to get back with you here in about another 20, 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And I'll email you that preventative maintenance inspection. We'll go over it together." Well, the reality of the situation is The preventative inspection is already done, dude. I'm just killing 20, 30 minutes. Send it to the customer.
So you're not charging an extra fee for that preventative maintenance?
No.
Or you are? No.
No.
Okay. Yep. Okay. All right.
So
interesting. Ted, you're also doing DVIs?
Yeah, we've been doing it for a long time. Like we were one of the first ones doing them in our area. We've probably been doing them since like 16, I think.
Okay.
16, 2017.
Ted, who are you with?
So right now I use TechMetric. I love TechMetric. Before that, we used Mitchell Pro Demand, and we had Bolt-On Technology as the add-on program to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we used their DVI because long before Mitchell even had their own. Long before. Mitchell didn't have texting, they didn't have anything, but Bolt-On, we were able to get texting right away, DVIs, the whole world. And having done them for so long, I would never, ever consider not doing it. Because we've made up our own thing, and not a lot of people do this, but we do what's called a VIP inspection, like immediately. And that's something the service advisors do. And it's basically a walk around on the car. Like we go out with the customer. If they're here, if it wasn't a drop off and they're not like the ride's not picking them up, we walk around, just do a quick interview. It's 3 minutes, right? Hey, when was your last oil change? Because a lot of times people forget, right? We can hit it right there. There's only 7 different lines of pictures. We take a picture of the oil change sticker, the odometer, the VIN plate. We take a around the car picture because I don't know if anyone's ever been blamed for a nick or a dent or a missing hubcap or something and paid for it when you know it wasn't yours. Too many times. Pictures this before we even grab the keys and move the car ourselves. So we do this VIP inspection. We take tread depth of the tires right then and there, and we ask them certain questions, get their engagement. We're not trying to sell them anything there, unless like it needs an oil change. Would you like me to take care of it while you're that type of thing? We don't hard sell tire. Hey, you're at 5:30 seconds. It's time to start thinking about it. It's going to be in the near future. If it's a safety thing, we're going to point it out. But we take that before we even walk back in the service advisor office to make the, and that has my bacon so much buying bumper caps and tires and rim gouges and this and that.
we've been doing DVIs for a little over 15 years.
Oh, wow.
I've been doing
Longer than me.
We jumped on board pretty quick. Repair Shop Solutions, Scott Osborne. Scott initially owned a 3-bay gas station on PCH or Redondo Beach. He stood on the northeast corner of his property, looked due west, he saw the Pacific Ocean. So it was a really hard place to work because the ocean breeze and constantly 70 degrees, doesn't matter what time of day it is.
Probably have
What's the temp?
side in the parking lot.
Yeah, what's the temp, Scott?
Boxes out in the sun.
Yeah, it's 72. Call him back 2 hours later. What's the temp? 72. December. What's the temp? 72. Anyways, so we've been doing that we're just now transitioning over to TechMetric as well. We do the picture thing, and I've always done the picture thing for the exact same reason Ted talks about. The other reason, we turn on the car for the odometer shot, and this is vital. And this has saved our bacon, I can't tell how many times. So we let the instrument cluster fully settle down before we even move the car. And
We do the
then
same.
we take a picture of the instrument cluster at that point. Because what I'm capturing at that point is I need to know, before that car comes into the service bay, what warning lights were on in that dash. Okay.
We have a line for that too.
Yeah, it's because I want to know, is that traction control light on? Is that check engine light on? Is that TVMS light on? Whatever you can think of. I need to know all the lights that are on. Because if the customer says that light was never on, I said, well, yeah, look in your inspection. Before I even moved your car, you can see where you parked your own car, that these lights were on. And you didn't ask us to address those issues. Oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah, great point, Jim, because we do the same thing.
One of the things that I'm thinking, one of the things I'm thinking about is another spot of time is dealing with customers who either weren't paying attention to their own car or had their own ideas about what they're living in their false reality of what their car is actually doing or not doing. And then you explaining to them, what you're doing, what you've done, why you've done it, trying to deal with that irate customer. And Gary, you said you get all these great reviews. I'm certain that you've occasionally had a bad review that you had to go back to them and discuss that with them and then make the situation either understood or correct. And I'm thinking that's another time piece. And I'm hearing from Ted and Jim that the DVIs are actually preemptively addressing that potential time suck for you. Garrett, are you doing anything in particular to manage your time on dealing with I don't know if you want to say high maintenance customer or customer that just doesn't understand, or maybe the one that doesn't. I'm not trying to be negative about the particular customer that might be difficult to work with, but what are you doing? Is that a time vortex for you?
I don't have them.
Time management, locking that door.
I just heard a truck pull up and I've got a sign on the door, but I just wanted to make sure they didn't try to open it.
They will.
Again, guys, this is going to sound crazy, but doing this over 20 years and then working for a big box retailer was one thing. I have never experienced being in a shop quite like this. I can tell you that I personally have dealt with 2 less than 5-star reviews that I've ever had, and through contact have been able to get both of them reversed, not through Google or anybody else, but through the customer themselves by just asking for an opportunity to make it right and then asking them to correct it. But it really doesn't take a whole lot of time for me I'm with a company called Schorie. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
I had Schorie for a few years. Good company.
And I also use OSM, Optimize Social Media. And these are all endorsed programs through Auto Care and other programs that offered at a discounted rate. But they're turnkey programs for me because I don't have to manage it. It took me a little bit of time to have individualized conversations with the person responsible for replying to my reviews because they were very canned and seemed like they were generated not by me. I didn't want that feel, as well as getting the reviews. When I used all of the canned methods for sending communication out, asking for the reviews, I never got any responses until I changed it and made it sound like it's coming directly from me. And that's changed it. Every single day they keep coming in because they know it's from Garrett. And I'm asking you to please take the time and give me a 5-star review. But so it doesn't take a lot of time for me to do it. And then, of course, having the companies that are there. And if anything comes through that's less than a 5-star review, then it comes right to me. I'm called by them and then given an opportunity to fix it. Back to what you guys do, having not started the DVI yet, we do the same thing in a different manner. We do post and pre-scans unless it's coming in for an oil change. And we're certainly more mechanical than oil and tire related. So typically some type of a diagnostic tool is getting connected to most of the vehicles that we work on. We're able to cover our bases with the pre and the post scans. And then my entire shop is all on license plate reader cameras. Every single corner of my exterior of my buildings, literally, I can zoom across the street and read a license plate on a car in a business where it's picking up. If I need to see damage, and I've had it happen, but my cameras, I'm able to zoom right in and pick up on that. So those are just a couple of things that I've done where I know DVI would streamline that. But just a little bit different.
It's just indirectly, you're doing it.
Doing the same thing, just indirect.
And the pre-scans and all that. And one of the reasons, whenever I implement something or we make a change or we do something positive, it's usually not just because I want to be like cutting edge or in front of the market. It's because I've done it wrong too long. My way has already cost me too much time and too much money. And I get to the breaking point where I'm unwilling to do that anymore. And then I do it and I'm like, I should have did this instead of being hard-headed. But a lot of those things I've done over the years is because I've burned myself doing it wrong. I went to trade school. I don't have a business education. I don't have all that. So it's been like school of hard knocks, but it doesn't mean some of the smartest people I've ever met have never went to college or things like that. My way of doing things is usually the first time I get it wrong. Right. It's a better way. And that's when proteins in and things like that. It's been a great help for me over the years.
And experience is huge. And Garrett, we actually chatted about this prior. It's about the idea of delegating to the employees and letting them do it wrong will actually help train them a lot more than you just explaining exactly how to do it and then following the instructions. And we even see that when we're raising kids, right? Like letting them experience that the stove is hot. That's a stupid example, but basic example, right? It does a lot more to explain to them why and what's going on than you're just telling them that the stove is hot, right? They now know and they're not touching it again, right? That kind of delegation. And when you actually try to protect them too much from those types of mistakes, you actually end up with not as strong team members. Sorry, Jim. not as strong team members, right? Because they haven't experienced those hard knocks that you talked about, Ted. Right? Letting them actually do that allows you to do more delegating of tasks.
Mm-hmm.
What other tasks are stealing our time, our spots? What other things are going on in your shops that are potential areas where you said you're learning from your experiences of hard knocks and whatnot. So let's go back to that right now. Where's the pain when it comes to time? What things are you not doing that maybe you could do differently? I know I'm catching you off guard with that question, but.
No, it is fine. I've got a lot of different things going on. I got some ADHD going on, right? It's the next shiny thing. So I start this hotshot trucking company last fall. So I keep lists. I'm a chronic list maker to a fault, right? So that's what I do in the morning when I come in, right? And I try to get as many things crossed off. And if they're not crossed off, they go on tomorrow's list. The biggest thing for me is I've got a lot of great employees, but sometimes I'm like Garrett, and I feel like I've gotten to know you in the last hour. He wants things done a certain way. They're going to get done that way. And therefore, no, he's not going to let anyone else do it but him, right? So there's certain things that I feel the same way at. But the biggest thing for me is to be able to delegate this stuff and put this on people's plate. And I've learned the hard way over the years. I've said, could you handle this, right? Turn it over. They say yes. I come back and it's completely the opposite result of what I want, right? It's all effed up. And now I got to spend twice as much time to get it right. But I've learned a lot. Train them before I delegate it. Make sure that they can do it.
Okay.
And I'm done telling people what tasks I need done. What I do now, and this is a recent thing, just because I've found what I want more. I tell them results I expect from delegating them from this. So yesterday I had a gal calling some clients that are on like AR and payment status, or call them, figure out what's going on. Have they sent a check? This morning I had to redo it because I did it wrong. And I said, listen, I want you to get results and get the paid. Instead of calling around looking for what the status is and have you mail a check or this or that, I said, your job is to get all these paid. So now all of her steps are going towards the payment instead of just, oh, so-and-so's going to send a check next week, this and that. And that really doesn't help me. And that wasn't what I was really wanting the outcome to be, but that's what I asked for. So now it's get paid, figure out when they can send a check. Can they get the card number over? Figure it out. And just and I told her, bring me what results you come up with at the end of the day. And she'll be able to do that. She's very good at what she does. Changing my expectations, because in the same way, if I have time, I like to micromanage everything, and I'd rather do everything myself because I know it's done a certain way. But the amount of things I have going on is just not realistic. Destroy my business if I just do one task. Jim said earlier, my job is to work on the business and have everybody else that works for me do the job, right? So this place needs to run exactly the same way, whether I'm here or if I'm not here. That means everybody has accountability for every part of this business. And I just do the high levels. Even though what I want to do is something else. I'd rather just be in the shop working away. That's where I'm comfortable. But I can't do what I want to do anymore.
Yeah. So I'm like Ted. I maintain a list. I tried to do it in Microsoft Outlook and that failed miserably. And if I don't maintain a list, it's very easy for me to lose focus and squirrel completely off in the totally wrong direction. And I'm just
paper list? A written paper list?
A written paper list.
Hmm.
It's just going back to the space program. NASA spent a couple $1 million trying to get a pen to write upside down in a weightless environment. And the Soviet Union then said, back then it was Soviet Union, said, why don't you just use a pencil? And it's like, oh, pick the right adjective that starts with S.
Yes.
So, yeah, Brad, it's low tech, but it works.
Yeah.
And then I actually write status next to it too. Like, we're working on a trifold for the business. And so I have trifold on there. And then I say, concept sent to the printer. And then once we got that finished, I crossed it off and I put in proof and development because I got approved when we were in the proof stage. And once we left the proof stage, I crossed that out and I put another comment. I put print because now we're in the print phase.
Now, Ted's
And that-
replacing his list every single day. That's what I heard. You're crossing stuff out and you keep a running list. You eventually just rewrite it because you got too many things crossed
No,
out.
I've done this for years and years. Time gets away. I'm crossing off and I'm adding to yesterday's list. But literally, if I can take 10 minutes where it's just nothing else is happening and I literally rewrite every line of that list.
Okay.
It's unconsciously what I'm doing is I'm focusing on that task while I'm writing it. You know, I'm thinking about each one, taking a second of meditation on each task. And I'm kind of thinking about how I'm going to get it done. And then I write the next one and it keeps it in the front of my mind instead of the back of my mind under a piece of paper.
And
It's very healthy for me to do that.
to stay focused, working on the business instead of in the business, I employ the principle of servant leadership. So I go to like our service advisors and our store manager, who we principally meet with on Monday nights. And it's just like, okay, what am I not giving you to succeed in your job? Okay. What am I not doing today that's enabling you to succeed? And what do
I
we
like
need
that
to
question a lot.
what do we need to change as a company in order for you to succeed even more? And so I put the success of the business onto them because they're all tied into gross profit. Their compensation is all tied into gross profit dollars.
Okay.
And so if they want to make more money and I'm there, I want to enable them to make more money, because what happens when they make more money?
Sure.
I make a shit ton more money.
Yeah, we're on the same team. I do good.
Exactly. And so a lot of my list, Brad, is literally dictated by what my team members are telling me that they need to succeed.
Okay. And you're getting that on your Monday meetings?
Yes.
Okay.
So that keeps me, what that does is that keeps me out of the weeds of the business, because a lot of questions I'll ask is, do you really want me to help you? And I leave it hanging. And they'll think about it for a minute and say, no.
Actually,
And so-
Jim, that ties in a lot. Like you're giving your manager, say, these are the results I need every week in gross profit. You
We have
figure the
goals.
rest out, right? You're looking for the results. If you
That's
don't
all
get
I care
the
about.
result, then I'm going to be a pain.
Exactly.
You give me the result, I'm just, you're keep me away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you hit the goal, that's like bug repellent. Jim flies away. You don't hit the goal, Jim doesn't exactly fly away.
All right. So just to be thinking about this, we're talking about time again, right? But we've talked about employees and managing them. We talked and managing expectations. We've talked about managing the customers. We talked about managing, trying to acquire parts and making sure that doesn't steal too much of our time. Have you guys ever had to lost
Right here.
time, or have you completely delegated time fighting with warranty companies to get
Okay,
things
that's a
covered?
service advisor problem only for me.
Okay.
Because
Ted?
what Ted and I are talking about here, especially me, is I've created a culture in the styles leadership and the leadership environment that we have enables me to be sitting in my home right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't even been to the shop today.
Right.
And I haven't even I've had 2 phone calls from the shop because I needed some pictures for a presentation I'm doing tomorrow.
Okay.
And do we give you the right picture? Was a phone call. And so by enabling the team through a servant type leadership environment gives me the freedom of time and to manage my time. So I have 100% focus on the business. And when we're trying to double this year, I can remember when we did $1 million and I'm like, damn, I never thought I would be so busy in my freaking life.
I
And then when
remember praying for someday I want to do $1 million. I'm like, I was an idiot.
Yeah. And then I remember, I know I'm rethinking this whole 3.6 thing, because this is if we're being 100% transparent. Okay. We were averaging 145 until the end of October. And then we really started applying some stuff and we shot to 200 in November. Okay.
Yeah.
We went from an average of 265 cars. We shot up to now we're like 325 cars a month. And we did 175 in December. We did 175 in January. Our record for February, which we've already passed, was 125. We're tracking towards between 185 and 200 this month.
Wow.
Okay.
Good
I've
job.
been so focused on getting change to happen because the velocity of change in our business equals the velocity of change as us as leaders.
And you
Okay,
cannot do that working in the business.
No, you
Sitting
cannot.
at a desk calling warranty companies. You cannot make that happen
No.
performing a task.
Okay.
Impossible.
And guys, I work so hard, and I was waking up at 2:00 in the morning thinking of crap and starting writing things down. And I got to the point where I remember this, it was December 15th and 16th. I actually had to call out, and I slept most of those days. And I was having like significant issues with the bathroom because I had literally exhausted my body with the velocity of change I was trying to implement. And I literally had to sit my store manager down, and I had a couple of my local buddies come by and see what all we've done. And they were astounded at the amount of changes that I've implemented, because when you're doing it, it doesn't seem like you're going fast enough. And we're trying to go faster and faster and faster because I want to get to 3.6 million. Because I know when I get to 3.6 million, I know we're not supposed to, I don't really want to talk about gross, but I know the GP dollars, I want to be in that minimum of 1.8 million to 2.2 million in GP dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. I know what my store manager knows what it's going to mean to him and his family personally. Okay. Because
You've had that conversation with them?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I've had it with every single person in my shop.
Sure.
Including my rack attack team. I said, if we go this far, I said, brother, I'm going to need you to grow fast. I said, you're going to have to fucking step up. I said, especially my two younger guys, I said, guys, high school's over. I said, you're in a real freaking world now. Grow and man up.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Either you're a man or you're not. And if you're going to be a man, I got a job for you and I'm going to grow you. And so again, it gets back to the whole culture, leadership, and team that I'm able to pull myself out of the business dramatically. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the ultimate test, I don't know if either Ted or Garrett have done this. I've got somebody who's pushing me to do this, is they want me to leave for 2 weeks. No phone calls, no nothing for 2 solid weeks.
For 20 years, I could never even think about that. The longest vacation I could take was a 4 or 5 day weekend, right? So the last 4 years, I've had a 10-day to 2-week vacation over Christmas, right? I'm gone in Montana skiing, and then I finish in California because my sister lives there. And then we come back. I leave in the middle of December, and I said, I'll see you next year. And you don't have to call me. I can look at the stats online, can log in and look at TechMetric, right?
Yep.
If the building's on fire,
call me.
Call me last. Call the fire department, call all that. What the hell am I going to do? I mean, call me and tell me what happened if you think I have to know.
Yeah. And that whole point
is this crisis and you don't know what to do. Obviously get a hold of me, but my manager's great. I knew I had a good one when I had other people, hey, tell Ted, ask him what he should do. And my manager would chime in and just say, you don't need to bring that to Ted. Just say, we'll handle it. And when I heard that, I'm like, whew, how come this was possible for 20 years?
Right. But see,
it was just a relief knowing that someone else would take on the stuff that no one else thought that they should or wanted to, but
by being gone 2 weeks, he knows what will break in his business. And if it breaks while he's gone in that 2 weeks, he's at fault, not the teammates.
Yeah.
Because he didn't set up the right processes and procedures to enable him to be gone. And the reason why somebody's pushing me to be gone for 2 weeks is they said, if you're going to truly go to this point, you need to find out what's broken in your business, like right now.
Garrett, I see the wheels turning.
Yeah, I hear this, and then
Garrett wants to know how to take vacation. 1.8 million flows through you, Garrett. I did a little.
I literally shut the shop down.
Keep going.
I shut the shop
260 working days a year. You work 8 hours a day. You're writing $865 per hour. So you've already lost about $1,300 being on this podcast. Like this place cannot live without you at that desk, brother. You gotta be able to let that girl do some of it.
I don't know if you heard me, but
you lose money.
We shut it down for 9 days. And I don't know if you guys have ever considered or thought about doing that, but you know,
That's the only way that's the only way you could take a vacation is by
Correct.
giving everyone else.
Yeah. No, honestly, I got with my guys in the shop and we said, okay, look, if we're going to do this, let's pick a time each year. Everybody wanted to do it around 4th of July. So we tie it with a weekend and then a week off and then a weekend. It gives everybody 9 days. I don't have to be bothered and distracted and worry about what's going on. And they can choose to use their time if they want to, or take it off unpaid. But even the feedback that we get from our customers, because now we've been doing it long enough that they just know, but they congratulate me for doing that because they recognize that is it's valuing your teammates and their time.
Until you've sold it.
Sure. And it's almost like it makes them feel better to know that they're doing business with a company that is like that, because there's so many that don't care about anybody. But I wanted to go back, if it's okay, Brad, because you started mentioning the labor claim process, right? So as I'm looking at these guys that I aspire to be one day, because they're working on their business and here I am, I'm stuck in, right? Aspiring to work on the business. But I think that is a valid pain point because I'm more of the service advisor kind of as well. It does happen very infrequently. But because of the process now with the labor claims being able to do them online, it's just like any national account business. If you're with Auto Integrate, I don't know if you guys do anything with Auto Integrate.
No, what's that?
Auto Integrate it's a website that you go to where you can start doing national account business. So like GE Capital, GE Fleet, Holman, all the big, huge corporate companies, they use these fleet cards. And so you have to call Auto Integrate and get set up with them. And then you can log that VIN in with the mileage and then give a breakdown of what the vehicle needs. And then they give you your approvals electronically. And so you don't have to pick up the phone to call anybody. But it's a good fill-in business to have national account business, even as an independent, because it can keep you consistent when times are a little slower. But having worked for Genuine Parts Company, and I was with them for about 14 years, and I managed a distribution center in Atlanta. That DC supplied, gosh, I don't even want to tell you how many accounts they supported and supplied, but out of the DC, there was over 300 Napa Auto Care centers, including jobber stores. And I managed the Napa Auto Care program for Napa. Having been in that role, I got to see firsthand what percentage of sales were labor claims. And then there's a metrics for that, right? Because you have to identify the shops that are out there that are abusing, that program. And it is probably one of the most abused programs that there are out there because it was made so easy for shops to misdiagnose or throw parts in a car and then file labor claims. So they're covering their costs. But in this role and having done parts as long as I have, in the almost 4 years now that I've been here, I could tell you that I think maybe I've had 2 to 3 labor claims, true labor claims that we've ever filed. And it was all with something that was remanufactured. But when we just got away from, there's certain lines that you just don't want to use. And we're not your shop if you want cheap. We're not your shop if you want remanufactured. Right. It's going to be specific to what I know works and what I don't have to worry about coming back. And if it happens, we have a 3-year, 36,000 mile nationwide warranty, local and peace of mind. So regardless, we're covered. Our customers are covered and we're covered. But
what about extended warranties?
We don't abuse it.
Garrett, what about extended warranties?
I do extended warranties, a lot of extended warranties.
And that takes a huge amount of time.
It is, but again, you can pretty much do everything through some form of a website. Now, what I do with those is I build the ticket and get everything situated. I put all my notes and I give it to my back office lady. Her name is Brandy, and she handles all that. Okay. Because I can't do it from the front counter. Especially when you have phones ringing and then customers are calling. And so we make that work. Probably the main time management thing for me on a day-to-day business is the number of phone calls for people that call and they want prices on things. And
Ted, why do you shake your head?
will, but majority of the time I will not. I focus on selling the visit. Ted, you're muted. I don't know if you can hear us.
Yeah, sell the appointment.
Okay, all right.
That's the solution, right?
Yeah. I try to avoid at all costs giving any quotes or diagnosing anything over the phone. I try to sell the visit, get them here because look, parts stores today, they think they go there and I went to AutoZone or wherever and I had my car diagnosed and they said it's this, right? And look, we all probably see it. I see it a lot. And
Yeah,
that's
we have a procedure specifically for that.
I sell the diagnostic and then reassure them that, look, that may be what it is. It may not. At least if you allow us to diagnose it. If I didn't correct or if I didn't repair it correctly, that is on me. Okay. And that's where I'll own it. Because if my guys come to me and they say, look, this is going to fix this car, I have confidence enough in my guys to have that conversation, maybe not quite that way. I'll tap dance it around a little bit with a customer, but enough to give them security. And then if we can't, then look, this is the first step in what could be a series of steps that we'll need to work through, just always trying to cover our bases and communicate effectively so we don't have anything go awry. But that's the big thing for me is just the phone calls with everybody wanting quotes. And I don't know, is anybody familiar with Repair Pal?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Isn't that they refer you stuff?
Yeah. So I did it. It was great in the beginning. And then I ended up having to just come off that program because they will definitely make your phones ring. By golly, they don't miss a lead. They will track you down to the last invoice and send you that bill for whatever that is. But I don't know. It's just it was a different type of a consumer experience for me that I just really wasn't interested in. And so we went ahead and got off that. So
Are you saying it took a lot of time to answer all the calls asking for prices as opposed to being diagnosed their particular issue? That's
yeah, because it's more of a program where, as a consumer, you can go on their website and type in water pump and it'll come back and it'll spit out exactly what range that repair should be in. And it's not real. I just didn't like it. I didn't like how that, it just arms consumers that already in most cases don't know a lot with what they then think is too much.
right, not adequate information, right? It's not that it's incorrect necessarily. It's that it's not really enough to get a full scope of the
but it
actual repair.
challenges the whole experience because then you got somebody that, they think they know more or as much, and then they're questioning you through the process.
Yeah.
It's just an experience that I just, I wasn't happy with and I didn't like it, but
Yeah. Well, let's start with
ways to make
does
it
that repair that they quoted just out of a database include a 3-year warranty? Probably not, right? And so that level of trust, there is value in that. Like you can find somebody to potentially duct tape things together, or you can have it done right.
Right.
Hey, can I chime back in on the warranty stuff? I've changed some things in the last 6 months that have really been good for us. I didn't think would be a reality. I thought it'd really piss off customers, just to be blunt, but I haven't had an issue with it. So we do a ton of them, number one. My advisors handle them, but I'm front heavy, right? So I'm preparing to grow. I'm Jim. I've set my goal to increase our sales this year. So I got 3 front people, meaning by like manager, service advisor, parts, estimating, people that do that stuff, right? I have 3.5 people. One guy's part-time. So my advisors do it. My guy that's part-time comes in 3 days a week and he is phenomenal with warranty companies. And we do quite a bit, but we actually charge a higher labor rate to deal with those. Our door rate's $149. Our service rate is $179. And invariably no warranty company pays that, but will pay the difference. So we sell them the benefit. We're really good at this. Not a lot of independents even want to mess with it, number one. And we're really good at getting it approved. You will pay part of this bill, but we're going to get you everything. And we have had no push. And I thought,
$185 an hour.
Walk out the door and give me a pen too, we'll go review. But the opposite happened because I trusted my manager. She goes, I can do this. We're going to do it. Too much time. we need to get more out of it if we spend the time. And I said, listen, I'm going to let you give it a shot. You show me that it works. We'll keep with it. And sometimes you got to let people try it to fail. And sometimes I've learned I'm not always right. And if someone thinks they can do it, if I get my mindset, I'm going to make this happen no matter what, I'm going to find a way. When my manager came and I'm going to make this happen and it's going to be good for us. And I had the philosophy, I'm going to let them fail so they can learn a lesson. Guess what? I was wrong. I learned the lesson.
And Ted, to your point, Ted, it's like even with consumers, they typically will price shop parts, but no one ever really price shops your labor. When's the last time you had somebody call you up and say, hey, what's your labor rate? Now, they may ask you how much a set of brake pads are or wiper blades or something along those lines, but that's why we did 185, because they control you so much on what you buy, where you buy it from, and then they try to send you parts, which we won't do. And another big pain point for me with the warranty companies is trying to educate the customer that you're just acting on behalf of with a third party company. And they assume in a lot of cases that when they come to your shop that they've got this warranty and it's not going to cost them anything. Let's say you get a Chrysler 3.6 in with a misfire and, they've already put plugs and coils in. And you got to pull the timing cover off and look at the cams and the rocker arms and stuff like that. They don't realize that they're responsible for all that diagnostic time up till that warranty is approved. And they could be footing a bill for the whole thing if it's denied.
Salesman told them that warranty is going to pay for their repairs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I sell cars and we sell warranties. So I'm unique in that. Sometimes we're servicing the warranty that we sell. And so I've just learned, because I did it wrong, right? Had people come in with that protection on one that I've sold. So now when I sell it, I say, they're going to cover a large portion of your repair. You're always going to have a little bit out of pocket, but wouldn't you rather have someone else paying the majority of your bill? But then on the flip side, when they come in, especially if it's not the warranty I sell, if they're my customer, we sugarcoat it a little bit, I'm going to lie. But at what point do you take ownership of this car? It's actually your car, not the warranty companies, this and that. We're going to help you get the most out of it. And then it's always the 3 Bs. We didn't build the car, we didn't break the car, and we didn't buy the car, or we buy the warranty. We're going to help you handle this the best way for you. And then we're working together. We like to work with the customer, navigate through it. 2 oxes yoking up together. We're going to pull this plow.
You align themselves with
that was the problem you brought to my shop. I'll help you get down the garden.
Yeah. So we've talked about hiring. We've talked about software. We've talked about being actually the thing that seemed to resonate with me as far as time management goes is being preemptive. Making that list is just a symptom of planning ahead to avoid a particular time vortex. Are there other areas around the shop that we haven't discussed that can steal time in large quantities that we should cover before we wrap up?
What about inventory for you, Jim and Ted? Do you now? I find inventory can certainly be a problem for us time management wise, because it'll show that I have something that I don't have it. And do you guys have inventory loaded in your point of sale, or how do you do that?
We do. And my store manager he owns our inventory. 100% of our inventory, our parts return process, the whole 9 yards.
Does your point of sale system manage it for you with stock orders, or is it a manual process?
Yes and no. One of the weaknesses TechMetric is inventory and parts return. It's not its strong suit, but we have a pretty robust process in place to make sure we get every single freaking dime back from each one of our vendors. And my wife's our bookkeeper, and he works hand in hand with my wife to make sure that we get every credit that we're due. And TechMetric could be a lot stronger. We do go through about once a year and clean it up because it seems to get dirty somehow, some way, just through natural business every day. But having a person actually physically own it in the business is vital.
Brad, can I ask another question that's just a little different? Are either Jim or Ted, are you guys a part of any other program like AutoCare or Tech or some of the others that are out there?
Go, Ted. I'll hook a second.
I'm TechNet. and we're also an auto value service center, or what's the other name they go by? We have two different ones that warranty covers. We're a 2-year, 24,000 mile. If we print 3-year, 36, they'll honor it. So that's something we're looking at doing. But yeah, I pay for all these associations that we don't even use. I don't even know about or think that we sell tires. So we got a nationwide road hazard warranty on that stuff. Oh, you name it. There's all kinds of things. And sometimes it's too much to manage. And so I put it on other people. But back to the inventory, for us, TechMetric is what shows that when they picked it up, when they returned it, when you got the money, we actually feel like it does a pretty decent job of returns and inventory. My problem with TechMetric is when it's always a human, by the way. It's always a human is my problems. They're not entering it or using the program. And I'm loosey-goosey. And for some people, what works at one shop might not work at the other. I know Jim's way is probably way better than mine, and maybe I should look towards making someone else responsible. But keeping track of every part on my shelf and this and that, I'm like, you know what? It's loaded in our inventory. The numbers aren't right. It takes excessive amount of time to keep that updated and right. So I'm like, I don't care about that. So that was some of my time management. I don't have people that steal from me internally. If it's here and I paid for it and we know what it costs and what to charge. If it's loaded in an inventory, it's just faster to click on it, make an estimate, but let's waste a lot of time there. Our time will pay us off better focus on other things. That's just what has worked for me, because I tried it. And if I get micromanaging, like I want everything done the right way, I know TechMetric, everything has to be pushed here to make it all work. And that's the way it should be done. And I know it's the best way. But at the same time, there's a ton of time it takes to do it. And is that time worth the money for a missing can, a oil flush, or a...
Yeah, I got it fixed. So like one of the fallacies of TechMetric say, you order something and it turns out it's on the invoice, and it turns out it's at the DC or it's having to come from out of state or something like that. It's very difficult to get it in TechMetric, to get it off the invoice. You have to put it into inventory, and then you literally have to delete it because the parts never get...
If it hasn't come and it's going to happen, go into your estimate and just X the estimate instead of the return part.
Yeah, but then you still have to delete it out of return part because it'll never be delivered.
No, if you literally hit X, return part, just hit X, you deleting that line of the estimate, it's gone.
Okay, we'll try that.
Yeah. No, it's because I had my system all messed up from doing stuff.
Yeah. But Garrett, I'm part of, basically, we're an AC Delco, whatever they call it right now. PSE, I think is what it's called. We've been an AC Delco shop since day one. We're also part of the Pronto program. TechNet in our area is very, very minimalistic. There's not a whole lot of that stuff around. I don't even have an Advanced Auto Parts or even a former CarQuest even close to me. So CarQuest doesn't have a huge, at least in my part of the valley, doesn't have a huge presence. In other parts of the valley, they do. And there are other people that are TechNet affiliated. However, I do buy a ton of parts from WorldPack. I'm also part of the ATD program. It's $199 a month. Phoenix, a little bit of trivia for both of you. Do you know what two major tire retailers are started here in the Phoenix metropolitan area? Discount Tire and Big O Tire. Big O was actually started in Mesa. Between Discount and Big O, they're almost like Starbucks here. They're priced on every freaking corner, literally. And because of that, we're a repair shop that sells tires. And there's a very distinct difference with that. And in order to be able to compete with Discount, Sam's Club, Costco, all the major tire retailers out here, it's only $199 a month. We participate in ATD's nationwide program because that way we can tell the customer whether you're going to California for vacation or going up to Utah or something like that to go camping, you're covered for your tires. It's the only reason why. And same thing, we do 336. Been contemplating going to 560. Christian Brothers does. They do 330, whichever comes last. Stop and think about that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So 3 years or 36,000 miles, whichever comes last. So if you have a low mileage driver that only drives like 8,000 miles a year or something like that, warranty's going for 4 or 5 years because the 36,000 miles will kick on before the 3 years. And I doubt if either one of you have Christian Brothers in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, we have them here.
We do too.
Now, so like our extended warranty being 336, so under the normal Napa program, it's a 224. And that actually is only for what they consider peace of mind, which is when you're over 25 miles. I think most of these warranties are all administered through Sancio. And then with the gold program,
They're all 25 miles.
Yeah. So on the gold program, it doesn't matter, which is the really nice thing about it. And then it includes your point of sale. I don't pay anything monthly from point of sale system. And then I use all my marketing money through the gold program to pay for my Kukui and my OSM. So it's just works for me because it's just so simple. But the main thing for me though is to get behind, nationally known, locally owned theme, where I'm able to fully use. Because if you look at our shop, you would not know that we're not a Napa store. In fact, if you look behind me, you can see just a snippet of the front of the shop. There's a little right behind me, right?
And make you paint your building blue?
No, they don't. They have a program that's like that, and I am pro-imaged, fully interior and exterior. The building is not brown now; it's gray. But I do have the. If you look on the website, the newer photos are on there. But those are big pieces, big components to this. The big picture for me would just. I guess it all comes back to in some form, time management, because there are things that are benefits to me that do save me time. And it works very well. So I just was curious to see how you guys did it and who you were aligned with.
Brad, from a professional perspective, your professional perspective, another area that you have not talked about is marketing.
Okay.
I just got a chuckle on Garrett. So I literally, back in December, as part of our growth program, I hired Turnkey Marketing. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys.
I'm familiar.
So
Yep.
I'm working with Joe.
Good.
So I'm trying to literally pawn off all of my marketing onto Joe. And that's...
Well, when you mentioned earlier about the trifold brochure, you're pushing that to Joe as well.
No, I do that myself. Okay. I'm trying to be politically careful and correct here. So I went and saw Todd Hayes'. If you guys heard of Adams Automotive in Houston, Texas, Adams, they're now the largest repair facility in North America. They did 1.2 million in 1 month. So Todd Hayes is the grandfather of, he was the guy who hired Greg Sands out of Steak and Ale in Houston. And I'm sure both of you heard of Greg Sands, Mud McMail, Kukui. Greg Sands helped start both of those companies.
Okay.
Todd has a very interesting perspective on business, and that's what we've adopted. It's a very specific sales process.
Okay.
And Trifold is part of that sales process.
Okay.
So
how much time you're delegating a lot of the marketing side to Turnkey to help them manage it? And they're managing not just the digital, but they're also managing potentially that trifold if you wanted them to. I believe
Correct.
so. Yep. Are they also overseeing your Google ad spend?
though, I'm using Leads Near Me.
Okay.
So I was on Kukui for the longest time, and I'm glad Kukui's working for you, Garrett, but I was one of the original Kukui customers. And as soon as they've been bought out about 2-3 years ago, it's not the same company that they were in the beginning of Kukui. They kicked Patrick and Todd out. The PE company did. And so I'm using Leads Near Me, and I'm also using Shop Genie for my CRM.
Mm-hmm.
Shop Genie's just been killing it for us. And then Leads Near Me is doing my website, and they're also doing my Google AdWords.
Okay.
And then we also use CallRail.
Mm-hmm.
Being run through
What's
Turnkey
CallRail?
Marketing. Do what?
What's CallRail?
So we have a phone number, and I don't understand how CallRail works, but on every marketing piece, it has a distinct phone number, and CallRail tracks it.
Oh, like
Determines whether
ROI, they can track your ROI.
Yeah. I'm not a big, I love the data that CallRail produces and being able to track all of that. The data is fun, but from a Google perspective, Google actually wants one phone number attached to your shop. And so you probably have had Ryan from Leads Near Me push back to you on that a little bit. Is that they want one phone number on your Google profile on your website? You haven't heard from them on that?
No, you have to partially. I'm also part of ShopFix.
Okay.
And where did Ryan really get a start? In ShopFix with Aaron.
Mhm.
And Aaron's a big proponent of CallRail.
Okay.
So Ryan's not going to exactly shoot the gift horse in the mouth.
Of course not. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Yeah. But just as a point of reference, though, I do understand. And like I said, I love the data that comes from, but the reality of Google wants to see, and they're the gateway to your customers. So I'm in marketing, right? We're in that digital marketing space for repair shops. We're paying attention to your local business profile. We're paying attention to your website. We're paying attention to all those things. But I think one of the time factors for shop owners is the idea that they have to manage all those pieces. But there are companies out there that, for less than hiring an in-house employee, that allow you to actually delegate the overseeing of all those pieces, right? Because they do need to work together. You know, what you're doing on your website needs to work with your CRM so that you're actually able to grab those online booking appointments. And Jim, I know that you actually have, yes, I'm pretty certain that you have on your Google business profile that same online booking mechanism attached to your, and that's great. That's what you want, right? Because you have some people that don't want to pick up the phone. They just want to book it online.
So point of reference on that, somewhere between 30 to 40% of our appointments that are booked online come during non-business hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it astounds me every time I go to bed, because I put my phone on airplane mode when I go to bed. I turn it on in the morning, and I'll literally have, on average, 1 to 3 appointments that I wake up to. And I'm sitting there looking at going, who books an oil change at 2:30 in the morning? Are you not horizontal?
No, they work third shift or maybe second. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, no, it's real. And so actually, I've heard from a lot of our clients who are using either Steer CRM or AutoOps. They actually have AutoOps right now is that they have the ability to find out who abandoned. And now back to the person that's doing those callbacks for you, Jim, actually adding that list of who abandoned the online appointment, didn't actually schedule it, but started the sequence. I've had a lot of shops tell me that they're successful at actually getting some of them in the door.
The reason why I use Shop Genie over AutoOps is Shop Genie, actually, you don't even have to be a customer of Shop Genie, and they'll give you the scheduling tool for free.
Okay.
Absolutely 100% free. And that's Shop Genie.
This is the second time I've heard Shop Genie in a week from other people too.
So just as a point of reference,
looking at it,
he's actually being mentored by Sunil. If I pronounce his name right. You know who that is? He's one of the founders of TechMetric. Karen is. So they work very tightly with TechMetric. And then the online and that Google thing, Karen will give you that for free. You don't have to pay
the auto scheduling. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to pay AutoOps.
Okay. So it's a matter of who you're seeing. And I know that Kukui, Gary, you're using Kukui for your CRM. I know that they also have an online booking tool. Are you taking advantage? Are you actually seeing good results through that?
Yeah. I mean, the same case with Jim, although I now just shut my email off from coming to my cell phone, just, for my own personal time off when I'm not here. But I do get them in the morning when I get here, because I get here early enough in the morning and I'll accept them. But a good majority of our customers do push appointments through online. And we try, honestly, from a daily transactional aspect, try to do as much from an appointment basis as possible, just to control what can be chaos and then lead to mishaps, especially for us with oil changes.
My question is, here's my question. Why? And this is where I think Kukui falls flat on their face, because we have the Shop Genie so dialed in, Brad, with our appointments. We don't accept appointments. They just happen. Does that make sense?
I understand. Yeah, no, I get it.
So there's not that step where I have to come in the morning, approve the appointment, because since Shop Genie is directly looking at my actual schedule, right? And there's certain way you code certain things in your schedule.
Yep.
That they will not allow a customer to overbook. If we do an oil change, the customer wants to wait for it, and we have it already booked in TechMetric as the customer's waiting for it, Shop Genie will not allow them to double book themselves. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. It does.
And so I turned off my notifications for most of my Shop Genie emails because I don't even care. We have the schedule piece so dialed in that I know it's a solid appointment that I don't even have to do anything about it. It's no longer like when we were on Kukui. First thing my wife did every morning when she came in, first 15 minutes of her day was going through all the Kukui stuff.
Yeah.
And
Interesting. So another time management is to make sure that your software.
And that brings up a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because honestly, I don't use the scheduler that's in Napatrax. I simply just right click over the old time display on the side of my computer here, and we just use the calendar in the computer. And so now I guess I got to find out whether or not if I use the scheduler in my point of sale, will it do that? Because when they come through to me, it typically comes through with 2 suggested times, right? And rarely, because most of them come through for oil changes, and I schedule them on the hour every hour because I believe that to do it right, the process, the procedure, the drain intervals, everything, if you're not doing an oil change in an hour or less, if you're doing it in less than an hour or close to that, you're doing an unjust service, in my opinion, because of what's required. But I need to find that out. I'm glad you brought that up.
Let me chime in because I'm glad we got on this topic because I have steer. I don't like it. I think it could be much better. I'm doing a little with Mechanic Advisor, which I had before. But like I said, this is the second time I've heard Shop Genie in the last week. How long have you had it, Jim?
Since August.
Now, was it a lot of time to get it set up or just a few hours or
just a few hours? It's very intuitive.
Besides, just curious because
all of them
and what you've been able to compare it to.
All of them.
You've had them all? Okay, yeah.
The only one I haven't had, I'll be honest with you, is Bolt-On.
Bolt-On bought Mechanic Advisor or My Shop Manager or whatever, whichever one it is.
So I had My Shop Manager. I've had Auto Text Me. I've had Kukui. I think those are the only 3 that I've had.
But Shop Genie
blows them
down way better.
Oh, yeah. My biggest fear is, and Karen assures me that this is not going to happen, is they're growing incredibly fast, is that some PE is going to see them and just offer Karen a ton of money, and Karen can't say no to that. But Kieran's already sold 2 companies, and he's watched them both die on the vine. We sold a PE, and he said, hell, I'm selling this company. Because he said, I'm not going to build this and see sold to go die on some PE's vine.
Things shop owners struggle with, like you try something, right? And if it doesn't work, you try again, and what company is the best? And usually are of whatever great marketing they have. And then you usually, now I'm same boat again, got to try again. So owner to owner conversations, they're invaluable, really.
Good. I'm glad to have been able to facilitate that.
So,
and I'm sorry, go.
I'm trying to think what else.
You had asked about marketing. Is there any other conversations that we want to talk about as far as the time that you're stealing or you're losing because you're not delegating to other shops? Jim, you're delegating to someone. And I think you do need to pay a distant touch to it. Our approach is we actually have a sit-down meeting with our clients every month and say, here's what we've done, here's why we've done it, and here's what we're doing next month. And so like being able to just give you a quick top level, and then we just go and manage all of those pieces and do that. But
I think what comes down to 3 things: culture and leadership, process and procedures, and automation. I think those are the 3 keys to a shop owner's time management success.
Because that, and I think my big thing for me is having like all A players, right? Like high level employees can handle things or will be willing to handle things even if they don't think they can and step up, right? Because for me, I can't do it all and I have to delegate it. And I'm only comfortable delegating it to someone that I trust will get the results. And if I have those people, I have nothing to do except make decisions on who's doing what.
Sure.
And I can go on a vacation.
Yeah. And it took 20 years to get to that point. So I get that. Jim, that was a good wrap up as well and tying it on. Garrett, are there any last words from you that you want to share or last final thoughts as we wrap up here?
I will say this. Hold on, because I can be long-winded. We may never have this opportunity again to do something like this. I really do hope that I can. First time I've done it, it's been great. I've sat on several boards before. I've been part of business development groups. Those are all local things. I'd love an opportunity to continue to talk to each one of you guys and share ideas, even off this platform, or if there's another way to do it, and leverage, because things are different from region to region, state to state. Programs are available to you that I may have never heard of before. And it's a good platform to just hear different things. It's been great for me. So I do want to thank you very much, Brad, for reaching out.
Ditto. I'm no longer
nice to meet you guys.
Hey, and I appreciate all of your time as well. Thank you so much for the time on this podcast. I really appreciate it. I think it was a great conversation. I enjoyed each one of you. So thank you.
Yeah, that's like $1,800 for Garrett, by the way, for that.
Yeah, it was.
Now you got to go double down, man. You got to really sell.